I'm fine, Doc. How are you? As always, I do have a raffle up and running. We'll do one after we finish our ranked chat, and then we'll get into doing some screenshots. I apologize, I'm not able to do replays today. I could, but my problem is I only have so much time, and part of my responsibilities include being a wiki editor, which means that I am taking all the screenshots of all the various ships, and I am putting them up aboard the wiki page. And I just don't have time to do this. Make the videos, prep them, put them up on YouTube, premiere them, all that good stuff. And then also do wiki screenshots, upload them, format the pages, etc., etc. I'd like to have a personal life at some point, and unfortunately that meant I have to cut one of those two out today. So, no, Edge Case is not the CV stream. So we're going to talk about ranked, and I'd love to get your guys' opinion on things. I'm going to share with you my opinion on things, and let you know where I think things are going to go. And you, of course, are welcome to comment as well. Hey, Edge Case, Wife Aggro, Sean, hello everybody. Thank you for hanging out. Like I was saying, this is going to be a more relaxed stream, and we're going to be focusing more on screenshots today. So you're going to be, I don't know, you're going to see some gameplay of test ships and stuff like that, but it's mostly just going to be enjoying the natural beauty that is this game that we often forget about because we're so busy focused on killing each other. So that being said, Tier 10 ranked battles now includes aircraft carriers. I'd like to know from your guys' opinion, which of these 3 aircraft carriers you think will be the best carrier in ranked. Go ahead and put your prediction down here for a second. I've got my idea. I want to see what you guys think. Wife Aggro immediately says Midway. Okay? So we got 1 vote for Midway. Hey, Tief. Sean says they're all going to be Cancer. Well, you're not wrong, but for those who want to play carrier, okay, Duck Boy saying Midway. Why the Midway, Wife and Duck? I'm curious why you guys feel the Midway is going to be the strongest Tier 10 carrier. And if you guys have other opinions, please share them. Because they can kill destroyers? Oh, they all kill destroyers. Oh, yeah, Midway does. Okay. Yeah. Fair. Okay. So, Midway, because it kills the destroyers, of course we know it's got, you know, you've got a choice here between if you want the Bearcat with the HVARs, or if you want the Bearcat with the Tiny Tims. Obviously, your torpedo and dive bombers are pretty darn good. Ah, Sean is picking up on exactly why I think Midway is probably not going to be the best pick, in my opinion. Alright, but I would agree, Midway does have some strengths here. If it's a destroyer-heavy meta, then absolutely Midway is the better choice to take over Hakuryu. Alright? Wife Aggro saying, just spot the cruisers, battleships will take them out. Are you sure you're playing the same game mode I am? Because I have played so many games of Ranked where I've done just that and watched as my battleships went and shot HE at other battleships. Just put that out there. Anyway, but you're absolutely correct. If you can get a team to work with you and you can say, hey, I'll spot the cruisers, you guys blamp them please, I completely agree with you. It can work, right? Any carrier, any ship can work in Ranked. Alright? Now, Hakuryu. Here's why I think the Hakuryu is going to be the best choice. And honestly, it comes down to the dive bombers. You've got the AP bombers that can blap cruisers that are camping and sitting behind islands. This is a hallmark of Ranked, is cruisers camping or just camping in the back behind an island, lobbing shells over it, and not being detected while doing so. Also having the ability to radar caps and pounce on destroyers, that sort of thing, right? So I see Hakuryu as a really, really great way to counteract that. It completely neutralizes your Worcester, your Des Moines, your Salem, your Moskva, your Stalingrad. Not completely neutralizes, but you know what I mean. Like, it does a lot of damage to those ships, and those ships traditionally like to play more stationary. So, there you go. Boom. Right? Now, on top of that, you've got, you've got decent rockets, I guess. You've got torpedo bombers. I don't know which ones are better. I've been playing with the 2-drop, but maybe the 4-drop's going to go away anyway, isn't it? So, I mean, you do have some torpedo power and rocket power against other stuff, too. But to me, that's just me thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, hey, cool. All right? Because I haven't played CVs in ranked either. We'll find out. Well, and that's the thing, Edge, right? Moskva and Stalingrad might very well be out of the meta because of carriers. I think a lot of ships are going to be out of the meta because of carriers. I had somebody ask me, what about playing Henri or Zhao? Both of those are flanking ships that go off on their own and historically have been self-sufficient. Once you throw carriers in, those ships are gone too. So what are you left with at cruiser level? I'm going to jump... We'll get back to Audacious in a second. What are you left at cruiser level? Hindenburg, Minotaur. That's it. Hey, Elzu. Hey, Krieger. Just dodge. You're not wrong, sir. But the Minotaur at least has the ability to sit in its own smoke, if it's bringing in smoke, or if it's got radar, of course, you can radar things. But I haven't had a chance to try Hakuryu dive bombers on Minotaur. So this whole talk is bringing us to exactly what EdgeCase is mentioning in chat right now. I have a very strong feeling that the carrier inclusion is going to further wipe cruisers out of the game. And I have a strong feeling that aside from your really strong Minotaur players, your really strong cruiser players, maybe, and I'm not saying you can't take a Worcester route and do amazing things by any means. I'm just thinking that the vast majority of these players are going to be gone. So then what are you left with? You're left with basically taking a destroyer or a battleship. Real quick, I'm going to read off. Sean says, I'm honestly glad Hindenburg is least viable. If you have much CV trouble, bring DFAA. CV tends to avoid you Hydro. Yeah, that's somewhat true. Hindenburg's anti-air, though, isn't as strong as it used to be. If you look at the anti-air stats, one of the key things here is continuous damage. The explosions are great and all, but a skilled CV pilot, aka not me at this point, can dodge a lot of those flak bursts, and so then it doesn't matter as much. 592 is a respectable constant, and that's an unbuffed captain, so that's a possibility. Elzu, you're taking legendary DM for ranked. Elzu, I don't know. Because what are you giving up to take a legendary Des Moines? You are giving up, right here, you're giving up either gun range, which in ranked, when you like to hide behind islands, is incredibly strong. In the old format, okay? Old format, keep that in mind. You're giving up the ability to run LOL, AA Mod 2. You're giving up the ability to run, you wouldn't do secondary, but you could do main battery 3 as well. And what do you get out of it? The ability to move faster forward and somewhat backwards a little bit faster, I think. But it's really forwards that matter. So you could do it, but I'm not sure. You're saving CVs won't farm. The good carriers aren't going to farm battleships. The good carriers, Doug Boy, are going to go after the cruisers with AP bombs, or they're going to go after destroyers with HE bombs / rockets. The good carriers. You're always going to have damage farming carriers, absolutely. And mind you, if you've got a battleship that's off on its own, well, they're going to get farmed. And I'm sorry, but that's just going to be the case. You know what I mean? Princess Leia lives. It's a short season, though. Yes. That is true. Edge case. My prediction is good CV players rank out fast, and there are no CVs after 3-4 weeks. Oh, we could all hope so, sir. I strongly believe we're going to see carrier spam all the way up till rank 5. Once we hit rank 5 to 2, we're going to start seeing the tryhard. We always see tryhard going up like crazy. So that might be, you know, something as well. Would Salem be better? Honestly, Alzu, I think that Salem could be a strong pick for this season because you don't need to worry about that sort of thing. But because of the fact that you've got that super heal, that might help you to negate some of the bombs and stuff like that. But you have to be okay playing a different style of cruiser. You have to be okay playing more of a kind of like a kiting cruiser, mobile cruiser, that sort of thing. So I don't know. Krieger legendary reload booster? What? Oh, legendary or reload booster, I'm thinking is what you mean there. And yes, I would agree. Either one of those two are really good. Even the range one is pretty nice as well. Okay, so let's get back to carriers for a second. I didn't mention the Audacious, and I want to talk about the Audacious real quickly. One thing about the Audacious is that it seems like in the 8.4 update that's coming out, well, we think this week, Wednesday, in that update, we will most likely see maybe a slight buff to Audacious, in that the changes to engine boost will impact the Audacious the least. So could that mean that the Audacious becomes the better carrier? I don't know. We'll have to see. The dive bombers, well, they're not dive bombers, they're just level bombers. They're a little bit easier to work with, and I find typically I don't take as many losses with level bombers as I do with dive bombers. So you've got that going for you. The torpedoes themselves are okay. They're converging, which means you can, if you get really good at sniping at long range, you could do some really good work, and it's also really good against camping cruisers. And the rockets I've heard good things about them, I've heard bad things. I honestly don't know. I haven't played enough of the three ships to really know which one's better than the other. But just some things to be thinking about, you know? Hey Mix, Claptrap, how's it going? Okay, so that's carriers. Again, my pick, my ultimate pick, if you're good at dive bombing, is going to be the Hakuryu. Otherwise, it's up to you if you prefer Midway or Audacious. One thing to note is Oven Chicken. By the way, I'm using the Mermaid's Wrath mod right now in honor of a really awesome modder, in my opinion. Survivability Expert is buffed if you're using Oven Chicken. So keep in mind, you get an extra 5 hit points times 10, so you get an extra 50 aircraft hit points, if I do the math right, over the standard SE. So that would come in kind of handy. Edge case rockets are very RNG due to low sigma. Very true. I'm excited to learn how to CV in ranked and therefore losing all my karma. Yes, Mix, I am intending on ranked being one of my focuses as well for carriers. With 7-on-7 format, basically meaning 6 enemy ships that I'm focusing on, I think it'll get me a lot more practice, and I'm hoping to come out of this a better carrier player, regardless of if I play it the whole time or not. Okay, so we've talked about carriers. We've talked about cruisers a bit here. Does anybody have any other comments on carriers or cruisers before we get into the other two classes? Quick question on cruiser. Sure, that's why I paused. Ships like Henri, where you DPM over time, yes. Good ranked cruisers. Okay, so I had mentioned before you jumped in, Mix, one of the problems with playing a cruiser like the Henri or the Zath, in my personal opinion, again, this is all my opinion, guys, so take it with a grain of salt or take it with a gigantic piece of salt if you want. I don't care. But my personal opinion about cruisers like the Zath and the Henri, these are typically more your flank cruisers, right? They're more the ones that are off on the edge of the map, spamming at ships at long range, maybe even Especially if you go to Zao, going in with AP loaded and going for a side blap with AP, right? The problem with these two ships is they're lone wolf ships. And in a very strong carrier meta game, I strongly feel like these ships are going to get focused down very quickly. I know that if I'm playing carrier and I see a Zao or an Henri in the game, I'm probably going to go after them because they're most likely going to be off on their own. Why would I go after 1 or 2 battleships or 3 battleships that are all clumped together, you know, trying to warm each other with their anti-air, when I could easily go after an Henri or a Zao? What are their defenses? They have defensive fire, which we've kind of shown to be relatively meaningless, right? So we got defensive fire, and then we've also got your catapult fighter, which the catapult fighter is hit or miss. When I play the ship and I launch my catapult fighter against an incoming CV attack, it's almost always miss. And when I'm playing carrier and I'm dropping a ship that launches a catapult fighter, it's almost always hit. So, yeah, up to you. But I just don't see either of those as being really good. If we move to 5-2 bracket and there are no carriers, by all means bring these ships back out, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think as we get high enough up there and people start going real try hard, I don't want to lose my star, etc., etc., I think we're going to see a lot of the typical CV players leave. The super unicum ones will stay, of course, but the really kind of average to meh players are going to be gone. So I think the Henri and Zao will have a place once you reach the 5-2 bracket. Okay, I think at the lower brackets, it's a crapshoot, regardless, and you're highly dependent on the skill of the carrier on the enemy team. If they want to farm battleships, you're safe. If they want to make your life a living hell, they can do that. So that's just something to think about. Henry is either going to damage farm behind BB line or die to CV. Yeah, exactly. So the only way to play Henri or Zao then is going to be to stay in the backfield. And if you're going to stay in the backfield, personally, I think I'd rather have a Hindenburg. I don't know. I mean, Henri is good to do too. Especially with a legendary module. As some of you guys know from my clan, I love the legendary module. Puddin, hello, how's it going? I feel like my Hindenburg playstyle makes me a huge CV target because Brawlenberg. Well, Sean, that's the thing about Hindenburg, is it's got the 6-kilometer torpedoes, it's got the armor that makes you think, you know, with the turtle back and stuff like that, I can get close, etc., etc., and then what happens? You get focused and blapped. So Hindenburg, at least in ranked, is typically, and just about any cruiser, is typically stay back, spam until the last 5 minutes or so, and then rush in and secure kills. Especially if you're about to lose, you go in and you try to kill things and save your star. Yeah, no problem, Mix. That's why I'm here. Parkerzilla, hi. Henry IV has been a top pick in this season's clan battles. If there are CVs in next season's clan battles, do you think we will see it? Thanks. I honestly, Parker, I'm sorry. I think we might still see Henri, but it's going to be played incredibly different than it's played now. We're going to see an increase in reliance on pairs. So Henri going off with, say, a Worcester or a Salem or Des Moines with it. And those ships almost always staying within like 2 kilometers of each other so that they can combat aircraft if they need to. I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of stuff happen. Henri still is going to have a decent spot in clan battles because it brings an awful lot to the table, assuming it doesn't get nerfed. But it's definitely not going to be the shining star it was in this season of clan battles. Sean says, I use islands to get in, put up Hydra to find a target, surprise torp him. Shipweeken? Okay. Or Shipweeken? Shipweeken! I like that. That's cool. I like that idea. That brings back the old Street Fighter reference. Okay, which class do you guys want to talk through next? Battleship or Destroyer? Make the key choice now. Oh, and don't forget to sign up for the raffle while you're making your choice. There's 12 people entered so far. We got about 20 hanging out. Oh, Krieger. Going for the Grozovoy for Destroyer. Alright. Everybody knows the Grozovoy is going to be the anti-air / utility destroyer of the game. Yeah? I would probably agree with you, Krieger, and the rest of you guys, that's almost like a duh. You know what I mean? Like We just know that's going to happen. I should have looked this up, and I thought about it, and I forgot to look it up. I'm trying to find the news article about the new Russian captain. If that Russian captain comes in the next update, 8.4, that Russian captain might be a further bonus to the Grozavoy once it's unlocked. And the reason for that is because that captain is going to have buffed abilities. Okay, so I don't know. Please no Battleship should be a tech tree. Okay. I know at one point it said that they won't be allowed in clan battles. I don't know if they're gonna exclude those skills from ranked. It's got Concealed Reserves, a talent of Commander Yamamoto that you're probably familiar with. The First Blood achievement provides an additional charge of any consumable. On a Grozavoy, I mean, hello, right? Then, Will to Victory. When your ship's HP falls below 10%, the effects of Repair Party and Damage Control Party are activated. So you get an automatic repair, you get an automatic health boost, while dispersion shells fired by enemies attacking your ship temporarily increases, so you get harder to hit. Perfect for a destroyer. Aside from that, new commander has an enhanced skill, Jack of all trades, and which is a 10%. So, but you know, that could be something special. Was ranked by the modes the auto heal work? That's what I mean, Edge. I don't know. I know it said no clan battles because we were all talking about Stalingrad and this guy, right? Like, duh. But I'm not sure if it'll be allowed in ranked. If it is allowed in ranked, that's going to be huge, and I'm going to make him my Grozavoy captain and just pump him up to 19 points immediately as soon as I get that guy. But you know, so you've got defensive fire, you've got smoke. Now this is an unassigned captain, so or undistributed. So obviously you're going to pick superintendent, so you get one more charge of the heal, one more charge of smoke, one more charge of engine boost, which are going to be very important. And I think one more defensive fire will be extremely important as well. Why is Grozavoy so good? Grozavoy is good because it's got decent long range and pretty good mid-range, and when you pump it up times 2, you end up with mid-range of 440 sustained continuous DPS. Okay, 440. That's pretty sweet. Now, I don't have it spec'd on here, but if I were to put the AA guns on there, I'd get, instead of 4, I'd get 6, and then I'd get 6 long-range flag bursts. So the Grozavoy, in addition to all that, of course, it's going to have its torpedoes, right? You've got your 10-kilometer torpedo range, which is very workable for tier 10. Not the greatest, but workable. And then, of course, it's got the guns, which are pretty darn good guns as well. Then, if you even go further and you add in the legendary module, you've got an increased rate of fire of these guns at the expense of your torpedoes, but let's face it, in ranked, it's usually you want the guns because you want to be able to take out an enemy destroyer that you come across as quickly as possible in a 1v1 fight if you're stuck doing that. So I think definitely this is a really good module to pick up. It's at the expense of main battery reload mod 3, which is a 12% reload, but this is 18%, so you get a little bit better reload to your guns. Okay. Now, I play a lot of DD since rework and do well because I do well to avoid being a target, and 7v7 is going to be hard. Is it still going to be used? So, Mix, my suggestion to you is if you've adapted well to the carrier rework, you are incredibly valuable for your team as a destroyer, because by taking yourself in a destroyer, you are guaranteeing an opponent on the enemy team will be in a destroyer, at least one. And now you're rolling the dice, or you're flipping a coin to figure out if that player is as good as you are at dodging carriers or worse. Do you know what I mean? So I think absolutely, if you can make destroyers work, that should be your pick. Okay? So Grozavoy, we all know. Here's what I think is going to be the special... Oh, real quick. Somebody asked about gearing. Duckboy asked about, can you make gearing work? You can always make gearing work, absolutely. Gearing, of course, with your defensive fire and your smoke. Now, the key is you lose speed boost, so you're not as quick compared to the Grozavoy. Now, take a look at the mid-range here. Only 140 DPS versus versus the other one that's 440, and that's with BFT on this captain. This is an oven chicken captain with BFT, so the BFT gives you that 10% bonus to continuous anti-air, and look how pathetic it is compared to the Grozavoy. That's going to be your big problem right there. Long range is also anemic compared to Grozavoy, and you'll see there's also one less flak burst for each gun as well. Any ship is going to be workable in ranked. Some are just going to be better than others. Gearing, you know, if you're trying to play a spotting ship, sure. I think that the gearing is going to be best for later in ranked as we lose carriers, whether that's from ranking up to the 5-2 bracket or you know, whatever. I think you could definitely get gearing in there. Harugumo might be a decent choice. You know, you sit and smoke and farm. That's easy. Anti-air defense-wise, it's okay, but it doesn't get defensive fire. So, you know, I don't know. Cthulhu DD question: does anyone know what the clan battles rentals are going to, or the ranked ones? Yeah, they announced it in the ranked battle post. Cthulhu. You go to news here, and I'll find it for you. One world, key rules, aircraft carriers, ranked rental ships. So, destroyer Shimakaze, Gearing, Grozavoy, cruisers Moskva, Zao, Hindenburg, battleships Montana, Conqueror, Yamato, and Grosser first. Now, keep in mind, rentals are unable. You're always going to be naked. You're not allowed to take a any sort of camo with you. So that means you're immediately losing that 4% debuff to dispersion against you, and you're also losing that 3% bonus to concealment. In a competitive environment, especially destroyers, that will hurt a lot. An absolute lot. Duckboy, yes, the Harugumo eats full pen. So the Harugumo's game is going to be sitting in the backfield, smoking itself up, and just being a selfish damage farmer. You know, if you want to not think, then there's your ship. Khabarovsk, I don't know. Khabarovsk eats full pens as well. It's got the heal, it's got the extra gun, it's got the annoying factor, especially with the, you know, with the legendary module, but I can't see it. I can't see it this one. Yes, Cthulhu, you're right. You also lose the credit and service bonuses and XP and all that kind of stuff because you've got rentals. You should look up Cab's Lavender. It's right here. I just showed it to you. So you get 8% firing range, you get a little bit faster reload, but you lose in your traverse speed. The traverse speed doesn't matter, but you're giving up concealment or steering mod 3. And to be honest, this is the big one. You're giving up the ability to dodge a lot better. So that kind of hurts. But if you put that in with main battery mod 3, you can get some pretty good, you get a pretty good rate of fire. 4.1 seconds before Adrenaline Rush, and I think I've got BFT on this captain. Do I? No, I just have AFT. But if you put BFT on, of course, that's a further buff to that. And 14.6 kilometer main battery range is okay. My problem that I find with the Khabarovsk is you're forced to be too close to the enemy to use it properly. And if you've got enemies that really understand how to fire their guns, especially battleships, you won't last that long. And carrier meta, forget it. Z52, personally, I think this is going to be the dark horse, if you will, of the season. I think that the Z52 brings an awful lot to the table, and I think that if you don't have a Grozavoy, this would probably be my pick for second best destroyer. The reason for that is pretty simple. Take a look at the anti-air. It does not have short-range anti-air guns. Why is that so important? Because in all the other ships, let me go back to Grozavoy for a second. So you're an aircraft carrier coming in for a bombing run. You're going to go at 6 kilometers, you're going to be greeted by the long-range anti-air of the Grozavoy. Then you're going to be greeted by the mid-range anti-air, which is only, what, 800 meters? So that's a relatively short span, a very short area to be within. And then you're going to go into short range, which is almost like useless at 0.1 all the way out to 2.3 kilometers. I haven't gotten daring yet, Mr. Bifron. I'll get there. But anyway, so I think coming in, if a carrier's coming in and gonna go and drop, you know, yes, you've got great anti-air, but if they're coming straight at you, how long are they gonna spend in that anti-air? You're gonna get more kills and stuff after they've dropped on you at least once. Okay, but that short range comes into play quite a bit. And Z52 doesn't have short range. It's only got medium and long. So you're gonna have 83 DPS from 5.8 out to 4 kilometers. Okay, which is very meh, right? I mean that's garbage. But look at your mid range. 980. Well, that's explosions. 313 continuous damage. Do I have BFT on this, Captain? I need to respect this for ranked if I'm going to do it. I would probably take BFT. I don't know if I'd want to take AFT. I don't really think that matters so much. I mean, it helps your main guns, I suppose. But I would definitely want to take manual anti-air. But anyway, so think about it. A carrier comes in, they spot you. What's your detectability by air? 3 kilometers. They spot you, you turn on your anti-air. Now, guess what? They're met with 313 continuous damage all the way until they drop on you and beyond. All right. Go back to Grozovoy for a second. Grozovoy spotted by there at 3.4. A smart destroyer captain hits the P key, keeps their anti-air off until the very last moment when they get spotted. As soon as they do that, they hit defensive fire. Guess what? Well, they're only just now in range of mid-range, and only for a little while. In other words, no planes are going to die in the process. Okay. Gotta admit, I've never taken in AFT anything not connected with surface gunfire. Right, and that's just exactly right. That's all 5 seconds. So that's why I thought Z52 might be a really good ship. It's going to depend on being able to smoke up, and it's going to depend on other ships being able to spot, because then that consistent damage, which by the way is higher than the Grozovoy without defensive fire on, that continuous damage is going to do work. But still, I don't know. The other thing that's got going for it, of course, is it's got the hydro, and I think the hydro is going to be very useful. Obviously for capping things and stuff like that. In a world where enemy radar cruisers can't camp behind islands and radar spot you anymore, I think that a cap bullying destroyer like the Z52, I think that ship's stock has just gone up. So I'm doing a lot of theory crafting, but hey, that's kind of what we do before ranked, right? So it's got the hydro. The torpedoes are pretty darn good. They reload relatively quickly, so you can torp spam things. The guns, if you can get a broadside on something, their AP are just devastating. I don't know that you would want to give up concealment to do this. I don't think that's worth it. Someone hasn't played Z52 since the rework. I don't know, maybe not. Other ships that would be useful, destroyers, Daring. Daring's got the heal. It's got the hydro, so it can go in. It's got the smoke, and the neat thing about the smoke is that it reloads quickly. So once you're out of smoke, you can smoke up again relatively quick. Sorry, Yoda Man. And that comes in very handy. That being said, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as strong as the Jutland was in last season of Tier 9 ranked, because then you had the heals and stuff like that and other buffs that just made it crazy. Puddin was mentioning Shimakaze. Shimakaze, if you're going to run Shimakaze in ranked, my suggestion, my thought would be the 20-kilometer torpedoes, and all you do... Go away, Yoda Man! All you do is spam torpedoes at maximum range. Yes, I know my third slot is empty. It was... what did I have in that third slot? I think that was the anti-air module or something like that, and then went away. Anyway, the Shimakaze with the legendary, you get more, reload for your torpedoes and stuff like that. So you make this into a pure torp boat, and you just torpedo like all the the gaps and stuff like that with your 20-kilometer ones. You could hunt down carriers if you wanted to, that sort of thing too. You could do the 12s. The 12s are workable, but that puts you in dangerous range of, you know, radar and stuff like that. Don't take the F3 torpedoes. Oh my god. Death Blossom build. 8-kilometer torpedoes. You hated Tier 9 ranked because your only Tier 9 was Seattle. Seattle was actually pretty decent in ranked. I ran into a couple Seattle players that really knew what they were doing. Here's a ship you just don't want to take anymore, which is sad, because it used to be so great and so fun. But the Yu Yang has really fallen off the meta tree and hit every single branch on the way down as it got nerfed into oblivion. So I don't see the Yu Yang being that useful. Hey, no worries, Yoda. Alright, so that takes care of the destroyers. Does anybody have any other thoughts on destroyers or want to comment on destroyers at all? You always hated the... I loved the Yu Yang. The last season of Tier 10 ranked, I had some amazing games in Radar Yu Yang. If you got really good at using the guns and using the radar and knowing when to do it and all that, it turned games so many times when I played ranked last season. Alright, well, are we ready to talk Battleship? Most of my matches were 4 Battleship, and I couldn't deal any damage with HE, so I ended every battle getting nuked by Musashi or dealing only 40k. Yeah, that's the problem with Seattle. It's a tough ship to play in ranked. The key to the Seattle was finding either going off to the flank or finding an island to fire over, but all that goes away with carriers now. Okay, moving on, we get to the Yamato. To the battleships. So when we look at the battleships here, whew, boy, I think, you know, Yamato, you're always going to see Yamato. This thing's a mainstay amongst battleships, and if you're going to face another battleship, why wouldn't you want a ship that can overmatch almost all of it, right? So I think Yamato will see some of from. I don't think we'll see anywhere near as many as the last time it was ranked. But we'll see some. Kurfürst? I don't know. Okay, Kurfürst can be AP bombed like crazy. It's so massive, so much area for bombs to hit, both HE and AP bombs, for rockets to hit and stuff like that. Let's see, you've got 50 millimeters of armor, which is great, right? 50 millimeters of armor, but against HE spamming cruisers, well, yeah, I don't know, like against Hindenburg especially, or IFHE Henri, yeah, but you probably won't see too many of those, I don't know. I'm gonna go back to carriers for 1 second, because something else to consider is the Midway, and their Tiny Tims. There's a show here. Now I have to go up to here. Aircraft, attack aircraft. Tiny Tims penetrate 68 millimeters of armor. So if you've got your tiny Midway with Tiny Tims, forget it. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna do some pretty crazy things. Most people, when they play Kurfürst, they like to go with the secondary build. Secondaries, I don't think are going to be that important for viable in this season of ranked. The anti-air, you know, it's pretty meh. I don't know. It's okay, but I don't necessarily know if I'd want to do. I don't know if I'd want to do Kurfürst only. It definitely depends on what cruisers show up. Now, keep in mind, Kurfürst does have 1/4 HE pen, so if you wanted to be one of those guys and you run like the 420s and then you go around and you penetrate everything at 1/4, you could do that. Let me do some quick math here. 420 divided by 4 is 105 millimeters times 1.3 for IFHE, brings you up to 136 millimeters of penetration. So that means that you can HE Citadel pretty much just about every cruiser and stuff. And you can do some crazy things to some of the battleships and stuff like that too. But I don't know. It does have the hydro, which is useful. It's got the bow, aside from the top part right exactly up here, the 32mm portion, that little strip. It does have the bow that can block Yamato shells that can't overmatch, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, I don't know. We'd have to see how things turn out. And of course, your secondaries are doing work as well. You'd have to get up close though. You have to get up within 11 kilometers. With carriers, you're gonna lose a lot by the time you even get that far. Next battleship, Conqueror. Also 1/4 HE pen. Now Conqueror, if you notice here, also just like the Z52, only has mid-range and long-range anti-air. So at the mid-range, that's quite a bit of continuous damage that a ship is taking. However, that depends on those anti-air guns surviving for the majority of the match, which requires you to take auxiliary armaments and all that kind of stuff. Hope you don't get HE spammed to death. Main weaknesses, of course, it's got that 32mm armor all around, which means HE cruiser spam plus, you know, Arakaze or Gumo spam would be problematic. But you could do Conqueror. I don't know. I think Conqueror in ranked has always been that kind of lazy battleship that you take out and you just spam at long distance, and who cares about what happens in the game. You just burn down all the battleships and try to save your star. Republique. Now this ship might be interesting. This ship might be very interesting. Again, only long and mid-range anti-air, and look at that anti-air mid-range. 939 DPS is pretty darn good, and I don't think this captain has BFT. It's got the secondaries and stuff like that. With the legendary module, you get the ability to reload quite often. You lose some of your firing range in the process of doing so, limiting yourself to 20 kilometer thereabouts. But boy, can you pump out more shots as a result. And you get to overmatch every cruiser. So that comes in pretty darn handy. You also get the engine boost and stuff like that too. So it's a nice ship, although drawbacks, again, it's got that 32mm armor all around. So I don't know that it's going to be the best ship. We're also going to see a lot of people taking like manual secondaries in this. I don't know that manual secondary is the way to go in a ranked setup. Maybe it is. I don't know. Moving on to the Burgon, the steel ship at tier 10. Now you'll notice that this ship does have some short-range anti-air guns, but it's also got the strong mid-range too. So I don't know, it's got 12 flak explosions versus the same 12 here on the Republique. This thing is basically an Alsace. It's a lot of fun in random battles. It cannot overmatch cruisers though, but it's got the main battery reload booster. So you do have the ability to put down an awful lot of shells. Will those 380 shells be strong enough? Like I said, if it's a bow-on cruiser, like a Des Moines, it will bounce those shots, but if you have HE loaded, it can do tremendous damage. So that could be threatening. The secondaries are pretty darn good on it too, just like on the Republique. But I think that ultimately the engine boost is going to help it. It might get it out of some very sticky situations. And I think a good Burgon captain will do well. Personally, if I choose to play Battleship in ranked, I'm probably going to pick Burgon. Just because I feel like it's a very flexible ship. I don't know it's going to be the best, but there you are. And then last but not least, we have the Montana. Montana, that used to be the best anti-air ship, sadly is not the case. It's strong anti-air, but not the best. It's got 4 turrets, 12 guns total, so the weight of your broadside is pretty darn good. The 406s will overmatch all your bow-on cruisers. No. Yes? No? It will overmatch bow-on cruisers, but against cruisers that try to troll you by showing a little bit of their side, it cannot overmatch. Like the Henri, for example. You've got, you know, your outer belt here, and then inside of that you've got, you know, your other spaced armor piece. Where is it? So I don't necessarily know that you know, you can get away with 406s against at this angle, I think, on an Henri if you hit like right here, not the superstructure right there. But anyway, I think the Montana will be an okay choice. I don't think it's going to be the strongest choice in ranked. So there you have it. Those are kind of, that's just me walking through all the different tier 10 ships. What do you guys think? And don't forget, 8.4 sees, I think, the release of the Russian battleships like the Kreml. And Kreml, I don't know that it's going to be any better or worse than the other battleships in ranked. It could be. We'll have to see. Any other thoughts, guys? Anything else you want to share? Am I completely wrong about battleships? Am I right about battleships? What do you think? Last call for a giveaway. I'll be doing a raffle drawing in a couple minutes. Okay, while we're waiting for people to type in their thoughts, in general, a few pointers and tips for you for ranked this season. First of all, if you've got carriers on the enemy team, or a carrier on the enemy team, for God's sake, don't go off on your own. That should be pretty darn obvious. Yeah, I agree, Duck. I think Burgon's going to be used an awful lot more. Absolutely. Don't go off alone. That should be like the cardinal sin that you commit in ranked. You should always have at least one other ship nearby to support you. That means battleships, and going off and trying to get crossfires is going to be a challenge. Yeah, wife, I think you're going to see a lot of Stalingrads until they realize they can't just sit and bow on and reverse, because carriers will completely wreck them. So I think that that'll be an interesting change. Just don't play ranked. Problem solved. Well, that's easy for you to say, Puddin'. But I think the key cruiser we're going to see a lot of is Minotaur, just because of the anti-air DPS. If you've been paying attention to all the AA DPS values and stuff like that, if you look at this, 1281 is insane, and that's without even buffing BFT. So that's just crazy. So what are we going to be left with? Well, we're going to be left with, well, Minotaur for cruisers, maybe a couple other cruisers, but really, I mean, I don't know what other cruiser you want to take that can at least hold its own against a carrier. Maybe a Worcester. Maybe a Worcester. I mean, mid-range anti-air is pretty good. But, you know, so maybe a Worcester. So that leaves you to play cruiser or battleship. Or, sorry, destroyer or battleship. And then destroyer, well, why would you take anything other than a Grozavoy, really? So, yeah. So, general tips, I said, don't, I think Minnow is dead on arrival. People react to CVs by going to a BB meta. That is true. However, Minotaur can also hunt down destroyers if it goes radar, which is a huge risk, but can be done. Anyway, so don't go off on your own. You're gonna have to, by nature, play a little bit more passively. So your aggressive destroyer tendencies, rein those back. Take a, 3/4 speed or half speed approach, something like that. That sort of thing. And let's see, the other thing, captain skills. You have to get comfortable reinforcing your sectors. And I would say that manual anti-air is going to be one of those musts for this game, because I mean, you add efficiency to the sector you reinforce. It's quicker to switch sides and that sort of thing. So you have to be comfortable and good at switching sectors. Wife aggro, I think so, because look at what AFT does. Damage per second within the explosion radius of shells is 15%, so that only buffs the flak bursts. That's not really that spectacular. So I don't know that AFT is going to be that viable. Maybe on a Grozavoy because, you know, you get the extra range boost to your main guns, okay? But you're not doing AFT for the anti-air, okay? You're better off taking manual fire control, and BFT is pretty good because it gives you that 10% to continuous damage by all your anti-air guns. So BFT is going to be really nice. Manual is going to be good. And again, AFT might be useful for like a destroyer like a Grozavoy or something like that. But that's going to be the key. So if you're a destroyer captain, you're going to have to respect carriers by speccing into at least, I would say at least these two, you know, spots. Which then limits, of course, what else you can take. So keep that in mind, especially if Wargaming offers a free respec period. Keep that in mind. You're going to want to play around with your builds and find a good happy medium here. Those of you that are playing battleships, I don't know that manual secondaries is going to be the go-to. If I'm playing Conqueror, you know, here's the standard Conqueror build, right? I very well might pick up BFT just for the AA DPS, and maybe that means I'm dropping, you know, one of these three skills. Probably, I don't know, probably be Joat maybe. Maybe I would drop Joat and Expert Loader and pick up BFT. You know, SAT, you're absolutely correct. Very few destroyers can live versus carriers. And Yoda Man, yes, I always need more Commander XP. AFT is trash tier right now. Yeah. So, yeah, I would say be thinking about possibly anti-air spec, and even Conqueror with reinforcements. See, where does it say? A sector reinforcement buffs 25% to the area that you're reinforcing. So that's 25% more plus the 815. An additional 20% from manual fire control comes in really handy. But you're still not going to be able to swat all the planes out of the sky by any means. So yeah. Any other questions you guys have? One thing to think about is you could drop aiming systems modification to pick up AA guns to add 2 flak bursts for medium and long range AA. I don't know how beneficial that's going to be, but you can try that. Hey, Seabear. Spotter playing DM. Quite the meme. Although, DM can carry fighters. IFHERPF 457mm Conqueror. LOL. No, that's the Thunderer, sir, and that's coming later. But yeah, I think it'd be hilarious, but you might very well see some Des Moines playing fighter with anti-air, being not a cap bully and radar person, but being more of a you know, kiting ship and stuff like that. That could put some serious hurt on carrier planes, and that could be the way for you to be more self-sufficient. Worcester, I don't think, has the ability to spec. No, you can't pull in a catapult fighter with the Worcester. What's the Des Moines anti-air here? 875, still respectable compared to the Worcester. 875 versus 946, but this is with BF. Why do I have A? Oh, I have A. Why do I have AFT with this captain? It's a mistake. Anyway. Oh, I know why, because my Worcester is also my, is it? I think my Worcester was also my Flint and Atlanta captain. It's also Halsey, because LOL. But anyway. Are there CVs still taking up? I have no idea. So, anyway, I think you could get away with that. Can you do that in Salem? I don't think you can equip fighter or catapult fighter on Salem, can you? No. Nope. So I think that's one thing that gives the DM a slight advantage in a CV heavy meta, possibly, over the other cruisers. It doesn't work anymore. What doesn't work anymore, SAT? The two flag thing? Combat flag wise, don't forget you also have the ability to do November Echo Set 7. It gives you a little bit extra DPS, which can come in handy. And if you really want to try hard it in ranked, then you want to make sure you run combat flags, especially Juliet Charlie. Always wear protection, guys. Oh yeah, RPF doesn't work for planes, right, exactly. Okay. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about in relation to ranked battles? If so, comment accordingly. I'm going to take a quick break here, get some water. My throat's getting a little dry. Okay, guys, I'm back. But doesn't believe in debt flags, lol. Okay, so it sounds to me like we're just about done with our ranked discussion. Agreed? Ranked battles begins. I had that up. Nope, I do still have it up. Ranked battles begins on Thursday, I think, of this week, May 30th. Yeah, it begins on Thursday. And it's a relatively short season, in my opinion. It runs until June 25th. So the nice thing about that is it's a short season, but the thing that sucks about it is it's a short season. So, and you know, you've got, I have personal life things that come into play. I'm sure the rest of you guys have personal life things that come into play too. No, not even full 4 weeks. That's right. Princess Leia lives very short. Okay, so what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to draw for, I'll do 2 drawings for community contributor containers, why the hell not, and then we're going to transition into me taking wiki screenshots, and I apologize if that's going to be boring, and I completely understand if you don't want to hang around, but, like I said at the start of the broadcast, I only have enough time to do so many things, and I just do not have the time to do a replay stream today and then go into doing the wiki screenshots like tomorrow or something like that. I prefer not to get so burned out doing that, so I do apologize, but I'm gonna have to switch into wiki screenshots. On the bright side, you'll get a chance to look at some really cool models of ships and stuff like that, so that will work. So Claptrap and Teef, congratulations on winning. I'm gonna get you your codes right now for your community contributor containers. Please let us know what you won. There will be opportunities to get community contributor containers as well during the course of the rest of the stream. Basically every 2 ships that I do replays for or screenshots, I will draw a winner. So anyway, Teef, go ahead and send me a message. The ships that I'm going to be doing is Bayard, Yudachi, Benham, Yoshino, Mogador, Cleaver, Pobeda, and Georgia. I'll be taking screenshots, and of course, if you guys want to comment and stuff like that as you are watching, you are more than welcome to, and I'm happy to talk to you as well about how things go. about the ship, the battle itself, all that kind of stuff. So many Dasha screenshots. Why no Elena? Because I did these screenshots like last year when they started doing like the Dasha white screen clips at the end, and Elena wasn't really a thing at that point. I don't know if there have been any portions of their videos where they just have Elena by herself.